All right, let's get it on, baby. You are watching a Friday edition of The Sweat, an at-home edition of The Sweat presented by DraftKings. I am Emerson Latzia. We're going to be talking MLB playoffs. We're going to get the lowdown on UFC 280 from John Anik. Plus, Mike Golick Sr. is here breaking down the NFL's Week 7 slate, one that started with a Cardinals win over the Saints last night. So Cliff Kingsbury still has a job. One that'll include the 49ers and their new shiny toy on Sunday, Christian McCaffrey. You heard me right, people. The Panthers shipped him off last night during Thursday Night Football, and San Francisco is giving up 4 picks to get him, although no first rounder. DraftKings contributors Pierce Dietrich and Jeff Ulrich are here. Good morning, gentlemen. Jeff, the 49ers value the running game as much as any team in the league here, dude. How much does this move increase CMC's fantasy value?
You know, it's weird for his fantasy value. Like, it really is. I mean, I think that maybe the correct take is that it increases his ceiling, but his overall floor, I mean, like, let's not forget in Carolina,
passing, and it wasn't a good quarterback that couldn't throw the ball downfield, so it was going to be check downs. That's gone. Is he going to have better blocking out there? Sure. Can he be upgrading that? And you're absolutely
impact on the Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, and
running back should ever have. It was a solid team. I mean, I
had to feel company in here, Pierce.
Oh, you mixing a bunch of it. I get it. You've seen it. Weeks down.
So you would you player of the year?
Geno Smith. I mean, Pierce is right. They needed to get a first, but like, I don't hate it. I mean, they basically got an entire draft's worth of picks. I mean, legitimately, outside of the first, they got an entire draft's worth of picks. So they can use those to for the next GM, for the next head coach. They can rebuild now. That's what you do with a true rebuild. Look where the Jets are. The Jets did the exact same thing. They grabbed all the draft picks, like literally all the draft picks. They just started throwing players out there. And now all of a sudden they've got talent in a lot of different positions, and they're just winning games because they've got good players. Carolina will do the same thing. They can package them to move up if they need now. What they just need is a competent GM and coach. That's it. They have the draft picks now. They need the competent GM and coach. It was absolutely the right move to get rid of Christian McCaffrey. I give them 100% credit for doing this because a lot of teams would not have done it. You need to get value for your players when you're rebuilding while there's still value for them. They did that with McCaffrey.
While we can get something.
I'd be shocked if DJ Mackers, wink, wink.
This is, I was going to say, this is when, like, you see everyone tweeting the gif of Bill Belichick with like the binoculars,
right? Yes.
Like, get his man up, like Foreman or Hubbard here, because it feels like a bleak situation.
He had a big injury, but he looked good. Like, really matters. But I look at Foreman. They brought him in $10 million over 2 years and bring him in as a tandem back too. That's not saying that much, but that.
I mean, Pierce, we all know that like Auburn many touchdowns this season.
Undrafted free agent out of Virginia Tech, played for the Bills in the preseason, average pick him up. He could absolutely surprise a lot of people. I don't think he's going to be amazing, but his value is going to be really cheap, especially if you're playing.
All right, gentlemen. Unfortunately,
what could go wrong? Both quite honest. Teams out of the five teams have a good. It's really kind of Arizona. You are what's not the greatest. If either will get
NFC 6 games in. I'm short of East. And I see Giants.
What teams? It's kind of we're not buying now. Again, your Jets had a giant trolling the clock. They're.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to a Friday edition of The Sweat presented by DraftKings. I'm Emerson Latzia, but I am not alone because we got some baseball gurus joining us. We have Gary and Thorne. We got RotoWire's Aaron 2-0 with the series shifting back to the Bronx. Are you thinking it's over? Or maybe
hunting. I don't think I would take them series. It's Lance McCullers, who was absolutely fantastic as soon as he sort of found his groove after those first couple of starts off an extended IL stint. In September, he had like a 29% strikeout rate. His FIP was hovering around 3. Like, it was the Lance McCullers that we've come to know. He's got that devastating slider that really, really works well against powerful right-handed bats like that Yankees lineup is just full of. So I would say right now, Eric and I have kind of been playing this exact tune for the last 2 weeks, but if you're giving me Lance McCullers and the Astros as underdogs at any point, I kind of just have to take the plus money on the money line, even with Garrett Cole standing on the other side for the Yankees, because again, home runs are such a massive part of the playoffs. And if there's one knock on Garrett Cole, he is home run prone. He got lucky in his last game that it happened to be a solo home run. The very well-known home entirely
50.
I think that's 17%. If you think every 500 is probably accurate on this series, 4-2 and 3-2 are the two games. So I think the plus
In the mound because
I think it just has to be Astros money line. I don't want to use like the season record necessarily. That like squeezed in series right after the All-Star break with like a double header in the mix. Like that was very like
saying that I think I would still take the Yankees, even though, like you mentioned, that home run prop for Alvarez is interesting. The main reason that tilts things towards the Yankees, in my eyes, is that these series are structured strangely. There's 5 games in 5 days if this one goes the distance. I think what that means is if the Yankees get a lead, they are going to have to go to their A bullpen to keep that lead because they're down 2-0. But if the Astros are even down 1 or 2, they might choose to keep some of their best relievers fresh because they know they have to play the potential for 4 more games in the next 4 days. So I think if the Yankees get a 1-run lead, they're holding it, and the Astros aren't going to try quite as hard. It's still a playoff game, but they're not going to go quite to the best possible relievers if they're chasing a slim lead here.
All right, dudes, let's go over to the National League because the Padres and Phillies continue their best of 7 championship series tonight. So it's tied at 1 game apiece here. It is shifting to Philly. Series is essentially like a pick 'em across the board here, Gary, but give me a series prop you would consider ahead of tonight's game 3, talking whole series prop.
I think it's Padres. I think it's just Padres for the series. We did kind of like draw this series out game by game, I think earlier in the week. And Eric even said, you can afford to lose 1 of the Nola Wheeler starts. It's just that it came in the first 2. That's a little worrisome because now you have to win those last 2 Wheeler Nola starts. Again, this series construct is so strange because in a vacuum, if you're the Phillies and you're leaving San Diego, having already taken 1 game, by the playoff math we've all been taught since we were 5 years old, you're now in the driver's seat. You have home field advantage. It's not about that for the Phillies. It's pitcher advantage. They need to win the Nola games. They need to win the Wheeler games. I just worry that these next 2 contests in particular, like I'm not a big Mike Clevenger guy, but I'm even less a not big Noah Syndergaard guy. So the Padres are just going to have such an obvious pitching advantage in the next 2 games that if it's 3-1, even if the Phillies are getting back into that Nola Wheeler swing, I'm just worried the hill's going to be a little too high to climb.
All right, Eric, looking at the series here, you can go series correct score on the DK Sportsbook. San Diego winning at 7 plus 300. I mean, you got the Phillies who could win 4-2, Padres winning 4-1 plus 750. What would you do?
Yeah, I think you touched on some of the interesting ones there. I think I'm with Garion in the simplest, most straightforward bet here is the Padres for all the reasons he mentioned. The Phillies have already lost that 1 game with their 2 aces, and in the 5 potential remaining games, they only get 2 more. They really can't start anybody on short rest. Even if they bumped Wheeler up to game 4, he would be 2 days. The Padres get 3 at least. They just with the advantage.
All right, y'all. We have 11 games on the NBA slate, and we need someone here like DK Nation's Chinmay Vaidya to help us price check, baby, and see who we should stuff inside these lineups. So over 10K tonight, Chinmay. Pretty loaded department, as you would expect. Jokic, Durant, Morant, Curry. Who you paying up for tonight?
So Jokic is probable with the finger injury. So that's something to monitor if you're on the injury front. You know, that's something that could go sideways in the 10K range. But I'm going with Steph Curry in this one. Had a fantastic opener against the Lakers, 33 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, I think. Also had 4 steals and only shot 31% from 3. So if that 3-point number goes up even a little bit, you can expect another big outing from the Golden State guard. And the Nuggets look terrible defensively. So I really expect Curry to have another big game tonight. So I'd pick him at the top of the lineup. Okay, in the 9K range, who stands out to you? 2 guys just under that 10K mark. Both play for the same team, DeJounte Murray and Trae Young for the Atlanta Hawks. Both of them had fantastic openers. I don't think it could have gone any better for the Hawks. 20 and 10 for each of them. They both look like they're going to be heavily involved in this offense. I would take either of them, depending on who your preference is. I think Young has the higher ceiling just because of his scoring upside, but wouldn't be opposed to having Murray either. So either of those guys would be good in that 9K range. Okay, so now let's go to 8K, my friend. Is there a no-brainer pick here? I don't know if there's a no-brainer pick. There's a lot of solid options. I really like Cade Cunningham from the Detroit Pistons. He had a double-double in the opener. By the way, Cade Cunningham to record a double-double tonight is priced at plus 275 on the sportsbook. So that's another possible bet for folks to go after. But he looks like he's going to run the show offensively. The fit with Jaden Ivey was perfect in the first game. So I really like Cunningham. A lot of people have talked about him as that second-year breakout player. And the Pistons seem to be, giving him all the keys to this offense. So let me keep riding with the Detroit guard. All right, man. 7K or under. You got to find us some value. Find us someone who is not going to cost us $1 bajillion, but could give us $1 bajillion points. I think this might be a little bit off the beaten path, but I really like Colin Sexton from the Utah Jazz. He had a fantastic opener, 5,700 right now in DFS lineups. And you can see it kind of at the end of the game when he was like going at Jokic. I know there's a clip of him like kind of revving up his feet. I think he was actually trying to like dry something off his shoe, but it looks really cool. And I think that, the Jazz have trusted Sexton a lot. They've given him the long-term extension. He seems like the only guy on this team who is kind of locked in for that future that Utah's trying to build. So I would go with Sexton here. 5,700 is a great price. I think he's going to keep having big games to open the season. All right, you've already over-delivered for us here, and you've already offered up a bet or two, but what is another one that you like tonight? This is your slate-approved pick, so just give me your best bet. I was looking at this yesterday, and the Chicago Bulls were actually minus 115 on the money line against the Wizards. That has now flipped, and they're plus 115 on the money line. Zach LaVine is not playing tonight, but the Bulls went down to Miami and got a win without LaVine. So I expect them to do the same against a much worse Wizards team. Give me Chicago Bulls money line at plus 115 tonight. All right, brother. Good talking to you, Chinmay. We got to take a break. We have one more block to go in this show. We're going to talk some of the best college football bets on the board on the DraftKings Sportsbook with Colin Sherwin right after this quick break.
the Sweat. So a natural place to kind of we're all still
yeah, great story. But they're only laying 3.5 at home here in Kansas State. You know, I don't know if this program is for real or not. But so far they have definitely dodged through the landmines that have been put in front of them. And I think this is just like a pretty decent matchup for them. You know, TCU has done a real nice job this year under Sonny Dykes, but I'm not sure that this is the matchup that they're looking for. So if anybody was going to be on upset alert this week, I think it's got to be TCU's got to be the first team front of mind, especially amongst the top 10. This should be a good one. I think the total right now is 54.5. That seems a little low to me. I do think both these teams can score just enough to get over that number. So if I'm betting it, I'm probably going to go over 54.5. But yeah, this should, if anybody's going to get this week, I think it'll be TCU.
Yeah, at least TCU has finally started throwing the ball to star wideout Quentin Johnson, like consistently too.
Yeah, for sure.
Been some brilliant moments for Kansas State, Missouri, and Oklahoma, but then you have kind of like Tulsa and the Tulane escape, or then the escape at Iowa State. Like, okay, so I just teased this one here. We got number 8, we got number 9 going at it. So we got number 9 UCLA and number 10 Oregon actually. So we have number 9 UCLA. Number 10, Oregon, both teams. Here we go. Pac-12 coming up bye weeks. Chip Kelly's return to Oregon. What's your best bet for this one in Eugene, dude?
Over. So you see that number and you go 70.5. Boy, that seems like a lot.
Damn,
usually when the number's
that
usually you see that number and you go, wow, that's a big one. If it's that big, go bigger. So to me, this feels like, you know, you need 11 scores to win this game. And I think 11 scores is totally possible. UCLA goes super fast under Chip Kelly and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They also can't stop a nosebleed. Their defense is just horrendous. I think that UCLA offense is probably one of the top 5 in the country, but they're not going to be able to be anywhere near competitive for the playoff or anything like that, just because their defense is just atrocious. Oregon also goes with a lot of pace too. So pace is going to really matter in this game. So I really like over as a better. If I had to choose a side, you know, I believe in UCLA. I think UCLA is good enough. If they can just find a way to get a turnover here, I would take the Bruins. But yeah, this for me, this is an overplay. The number's this big. They do this to scare you off. Just go over it anyway.
Because UCLA's lone game, like outside of LA this year, I believe was against a terrible Colorado side. And then you also have Bo Nix, who's become this really threatening dual threat quarterback. Like he's been pretty lethal, right?
Is he?
I'm just saying. I'll be
really.
Hey, listen, you got the team at 5-1 right now, and I'm just interested to see how the offense for UCLA responds in an actual wild environment. I think that could be. I think that could be what ends up deciding this game. Let's go to Syracuse, man. Syracuse visiting Clemson. Tigers are almost a 2-touchdown favorite, and Syracuse number 14 in the country here. Clemson number 5. Can the Orange keep it close in Death Valley?
I think they absolutely can. Look, this has been the best turnaround story in college football this year. I think that Syracuse team fired the worst offensive coordinator in America in Sterling Gilbert, and they got a guy in who really knows what he's doing. And so that's what really needed to happen for this team to turn it around. You got to root for Dino Babers.
Yeah, you really do.
I mean, just such a good guy,
gregarious, likable dude.
Very, very likable. Every broadcaster in America is clearly behind them because they all went there. This is a team that I really enjoy watching. They get up and down. This is not the old Syracuse. That old lightning fast, always first in the country in pace. This is a team that's been able to slow it down and play to their strengths a little bit under Schrader. I think they can hang around a little bit here. They're going to struggle to get stops at times, and I think that's trouble. For me to bet it, I'm going to need the hook, though. I'm not going to bet it unless it gets to 14.5. But if it gets to 14.5, I am going to take a little bit of cues.
I mean, Syracuse played one of the easiest schedules in the country up to this point.
Yeah,
like 6-0, you can be. Yeah, and let's not forget.
And Purdue should have beat them. And you know, there's other flaws in the matrix here for sure.
And let's not forget, like where Clemson plays their home field. What do they have? 37 straight wins. So that's true.
I think the last time they got challenged actually was by Dino Babers in Syracuse like 4 years ago in a game that went pretty deep. And then they had an overtime game as well. Yeah. But you know, I like this team. I like Syracuse. I think they can hang a little bit here. This is their red circle game every year that they're in this division. And I think they'll be able to hang around. I'm not completely sold on Clemson yet. I think they've definitely improved from week 1 until now, but I'm still not all the way there with this team. I think they are maybe the 5th, 6th best team. And I think they are going to make the playoff over USC, even though I think USC is probably a more complete team.
All right, dude. I know most people never ever feel right like picking against Alabama here. But
Yeah.
after falling to like Tennessee, and hey, you nailed this pick last week. You nailed it. That was awesome. Now the 6th ranked Crimson Tide will host 24th ranked Mississippi State, 3 touchdown favorites. Expect Bama, like they're pissed off right now. You expect them to just kind of blow the doors off of the Bulldogs this weekend?
I don't. And the thing is,
Neither
that
do I. Neither do I.
I don't. There is something wrong with this Bama team, and I think it's in the secondary. Their secondary can't cover. They got real problems here now, especially as the team that runs air raid. They're going to struggle because you have to play man to man, especially wide. The wider you go, the more you got to play man to man. So those outside receivers from Mississippi State are going to get one-on-one matchups, and I think those are going to be some one-on-one matchups they can win. So I'm not going to bet this game unless it gets to 21.5. I'm going to need the hook here as well to get around it because I think that number is going to matter. If it gets to 21.5, give me at Mississippi State. But look, if MSU keeps this thing close and it's a 1-score game late, I'm not going to be knocked over with a feather. If anyone can fix his defense, it's Nick Saban. If anyone can find a way to get these corners to somehow play better, be taller,
he would have done it by now. He would have done it by now.
You would think. And normally, if Bama makes these big adjustments, they do it earlier in the season. But I think right now that I'm never going to bet against Nick Saban finding a way to figure something out, especially with time to prepare. As we get into later in the season and bowl games, I think they'll figure some things out. Might even be bringing more heat. You might see them just blitz more and to try and to keep those guys isolated that way. And you just send more people. I'm never going to bet against Nick Saban, but if it's 21.5, I'm going to take the points. That's for sure.
Okay. All right, man. Like you could throw the hell out of the football on the Tide, and Mississippi State is going to do that. Like
absolutely
all game long, man. How about number 7 Ole Miss visiting LSU? Looking to go 8-0 here for the first time since 1962. Tigers favored here by 2. What are you looking at in this game as your best bet, Colin?
Oh, I'm going to try and stand up here. Oh, that's my foot caught in a trap. I am walking in, eyes open into the trap.
It's a trap.
I know it's a tarp, and I'm doing it anyway. Give me Ole Miss. Give me the points.
1.5 now, by the way. 1.5.
1.5. I would prefer to. Possibly. I mean, that little half point sometimes can make a difference. But yeah, look, I'm going to walk into this trap here knowing I think Ole Miss is legit. I think they have one of the best offenses in the country. I don't think they can stop much, but I think that matchup actually is okay against LSU, even at night, even in Death Valley, yada, yada, yada. I know what we're up against here.
Well, hold on. Like, other than hosting Kentucky, like Ole Miss hasn't played a tough schedule, though.
No,
right?
They have not. They absolutely have not. And there are reasons to be skeptical here, but I think this offense is legit. I think in the numbers, they can just move the ball with such ruthless efficiency that it won't matter. And if I'm, if in a game where I think it will be a bit more up and down than most. I give me the team that can go up and down faster. So I will take Ole Miss in the points here.
I was going to say, when you dive into it even deeper, Colin, like you really shouldn't let the ranked versus like unranked part of this matchup fool you, because I think this is a.
Why is Air Force only laying 1 at Boise? I was the one that really jumped out to me on the board early this week. And if the game I really liked, that was last night. So if you can find some Kansas right around, there's some Kansas plus 10 out there. I know they're on a bad 9.5 out there. I like it too.
Dude, I don't know who has a good hand.
So far down this year. We really need the Mountain West to be better.
Yeah, of the college football. Wow, you're home for once. Sunday throughout the